Hey, Greg, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, I'm here. We're here. Hello, I'm good. I was looking down at my phone trying to get to our page, and then you're like, we're live. And I'm like, oh, okay then. Cool.
Haha.
Cool, cool. Hello.
Always works. Always worth it.
Always works. Every time.
70%.
40% of the time, it works
Damn
every
it, beat me
time.
to
That
it.
doesn't make any sense. Literally about to say the same exact thing. It's almost like we've been friends for 30 years or something.
Yeah, mildly
Doing
disturbing.
well. It's fine. Yeah, before you know it, we'll say, "Oh, we've been friends for 70 years,"
70 years.
and
That means
then it will be disturbing.
we'll be in our 80s, man. Like,
Or 80s, yeah,
I don't know if I'm making it that far, if I'm honest.
yeah. I'll be lucky to be eating solid foods at that point.
I'll be
Um,
lucky if I'm on like all original equipment.
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm half bionic man at this point. Got a replaced knee, replaced hip, bionic arm, metal leg, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Replacement brain, which is probably for the best.
living in the Rust Belt.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I do have excellent news though. The cricket has been vanquished. And I found his annoying twin brother and vanquished him too.
See now,
So if you guys weren't listening last week, every single for like 2 hours straight, it was just like in my ear, but it was like cricket noise. And over there, couldn't for the life of me find it. No idea where this thing was. Day later, I found it, couldn't get it. Lo and behold, they were just chilling there for like a week. No noise, didn't hear them. This morning, I heard them. I grabbed the bug spray from the shelf over there, and I nuked the entire side of my garage. Um, I also washed it out, and it didn't really seem to do anything for the fumes. So I'm probably going to be extremely loopy by the end of this, which should lead to some very entertaining words.
see, the funny thing is, after we logged off last week, and you had the issue with the cricket, I kept thinking because one of the things we did to mess with my boss when I worked at the golf course towards the end
Yeah.
was there's a device that like plays cricket noises at random intervals, so it's not like every
Oh,
30
yeah.
seconds.
Yep. I have been pranked with that many times when I was actually at offices. So I know that one very well.
And I was like, I could just randomly show up at Greg's house, throw this behind something like you're like, your wall of
Hmm.
stuff, throw it behind it, and like just have a button to activate it or something. Like if it's what.
Well, if I found those two actual living crickets, I'm confident I would have been able to find that little bug. But
Joke's on you. There's
um,
17.
yeah. Oh God, that would be over. I'd have to move. I would just be like, nope, I'm done.
Mission
We're moving.
accomplished.
Can't find them all. Screw it. Sorry, kids. You got to leave your childhood rooms. Daddy's leaving later. Hey, thank you, Josh, for the support and for being the newest subscriber on Shift Squad over on Facebook. Appreciate you. I appreciate you putting a vote of confidence in us. Because why
One
not?
of us. One of us.
One, one of us. One of us.
And then I should mention, just in case it is off-putting to some of you, I have the Mets game on over that way. So if I'm just like randomly like over here or just seem out of nowhere to start randomly swearing, I swear this week it has nothing to do with Greg, and everything to do with playoff baseball. But
Okay. I really hope that Grimace threw out the first pitch for the playoffs. That would be really
I don't know if
lovely.
Milwaukee would allow that. Algonquin for the
True.
good land.
Yes, that's right. But we got a fun one tonight. We have another. Well, it's not a blind ranking list. We're probably going to get back to those next week because they are super fun and they're just really cool to predict and see what happens. But this week we got a tier list, which is also really fun, and it's something we've been talking about forever. But it's my potential next car, and we came up with a good amount of cars, some that we've actually never talked about on this podcast, which is cool because there are some surprises.
I think one. One of them we haven't really talked about.
That's right. Well, I think two of them actually, maybe, potentially three.
Oh, excuse me.
Hello, Anthony. Hello, Doug. And Doug's daughter wanted him to tell everyone in chat that she was excited to see a teal C4 today. Well, one, well done. Nice spot. Two, excellent color on the C4. Really excellent color. Possibly the best color on that car because it's so fantastically 90s. It just blends right in, and I love that. And good job. I'm also excited for you to see four. So big thumbs up.
No, I saw Doug say, like, I wasn't really paying attention to chat, and I saw Doug say something with C4. I thought he was, talking about the exciting silly putty.
Yeah, one of my favorite web cartoons from they don't do it anymore. It's from a long time ago. It's called Dick Figures, like stick figures. They have a great line where they just go, "What is that?" And he goes, "C4 yourself," and then he just throws C4 right at the other character. I was like, ah, it's so dumb and simple, but it's just so funny. I love that. It's great.
It's... Steve goes, I think teal would look good on Chad's Mustang. Nope.
I don't know. What who's the drifter that drifts for RTR?
Uh,
Chelsea Denofa? No.
yes.
Vaughn Gittin Jr.
Oh, Vaughn. Yeah.
Vaughn Gittin Jr. I'll tell you though, his livery has had that like teal, white stripe, black Falcon livery since forever, and that teal looks sick on the Mustangs.
Like,
I gotta say.
A long time ago, but yes.
Yeah, but it was,
see,
it was
those colors
years.
don't look bad as long as you have enough like black or carbon fiber to offset it. In my opinion.
True. Not like a straight teal.
No, I mean, it's no, I have my heart set pretty hard on a specific livery that, if all goes well, I'm hoping to incorporate either over the winter or early next spring. It's just something I've been talking about for forever. The biggest thing is that I have to acquire the wrap color, which is proving mildly challenging.
Yes, purple with yellow polka dots is very difficult to find.
No. But
Barney the dinosaur style.
But before we hop in and get into the tier list, I did want to make an announcement. Everybody, get your ears on.
Hang on, let me hide.
But no, because like when we get into the tier list of potential cars for you, one of the things I look at it from is how will this be a fun, I want to say rivalry, but like a fun comparison between your future car and the Mustang, right?
Mm-hmm.
So last week I kind of teased it in that we're not doing what we did with the silver car. There was a lot of speculation. Oh, twin turbos, positive displacement blower this time, all of that. But like we said last week, it's not done a lot, mostly because just cost wise for me, it makes sense. Cost wise for most people, it doesn't because bang for buck. But we are going with a full NA build on the Mustang. Completely. Eventually, we're gonna, redo the castings, the factory castings for the heads, but custom ground cams, springs, retainers, some other little stuff in here. Badass tune, but obviously we're gonna keep the long tubes. We're gonna keep the drive line, the stop, the hop, all that fun stuff. But the end goal, and I don't know of many street Mustangs that are doing this, is a 9,000 RPM redline.
Which is certifiably insane for a V8.
Yes, and again, I'll get into this, but the end power figure end down the road is, we'll just say, competitive with some of the cars we're speaking about. So, yeah, it's I figured you guys are the ride or dies. Clue you into it. Hopefully, we're taking the old Mustang apart soon, and that can get started hopefully over the course of this winter. Because I'm pretty damn excited to. I've heard some of these with, mid to high 8,000 RPM red lines, and they sound incredible. And then, maybe, just maybe, if hopefully able to attend Carlisle again this year or next year. Hey, Hanson, what's going on?
Quick pause. Hanson Luckman in chat. Let's go.
The third member. But yeah, I don't know if there's enough space to ring it out, but I'm just saying, like, mine with a good exhaust with that red line, there's nothing at Carlisle that's beating me in the exhaust comp. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll be quite frank. If you don't make the finals with this car, I feel like we have to put it into the crusher.
You mean the judges?
Yes, that's what I mean. No, but if you don't make the finals with this car, you have to go back with during Ford Performance Nationals or domestic, whatever the fuck it is. Like, you need to actually go back for American car things. Doug, thank you for the 100 stars. Appreciate that. For Hanson, this is where all the money for SL comes from.
It is.
Yes.
But I love you just the same,
delicious stars.
I love you, Jug. What wine are we drinking tonight?
Yeah, good question.
For Doug. Clearly, H2O is the way to go.
Clearly.
No, it's not even that. It's just that, we talked about it last year where you were like, you're the idiot standing next to you was like, oh, check this out. It's a GT350 with straight pipes. And it sounds like hot ass.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, man, a Mach 1 with straight pipes. Like, no. Like, if Mustang screaming with that, the cross-plane Mustang screaming past 8,000 RPM legitimately sound like a NASCAR at full tilt. And with an X-pipe.
Yes.
Or not an X-pipe, but boom. What the hell do they call it? The boom tubes for the...
Yeah. Let's be 100% honest here. The people on the sidelines commenting on the cars, one, don't know anything about the cars. Two, are... I'd say at Carlisle, sort of a 70-30 shot of actually being an enthusiast, 70% being, yes, they are. People are there for the show, but some people just come in just because they live in the area and it's something to do. Like, Carlisle in the middle of Pennsylvania, there's not a lot going on. It's a bunch of fields and some mountains, which are really hills. So, look, I went to school at Penn State. There's a great John Stewart joke where it's like, all right, so you know how to find when you're at Penn State? You're driving on Route 80 from New York to Ohio, and it's nothing, cow, nothing, 20,000 hot chicks, nothing. Like that's literally Pennsylvania, like the middle of Pennsylvania. That's all it is. So I'm wagering a guess that the person that was making those comments was like, at least enjoys cars, but doesn't know anything really what they're talking about. And whatever, totally fine. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but with epic grains of salt that should be taken.
Right. And then, and if I don't make the final with this setup, and I'm not saying this is the reason why I'm doing this setup, that will actually become clearer later in the show.
Yeah.
But at that point, I'm going to very politely, and I do actually mean politely, request an audience with the judges. And be like, what? this makes no sense whatsoever. Because not for nothing, when I went there with all 700 horsepower, that thing sounded better than 98% of the finalists.
Except for mine. I'm touched and honored by how triggered this makes you. And because if it was the other way around, it would be the exact amount of ribbing. So
No.
I'm very excited.
Bring it on.
By how
no,
angry you are by this.
Your car sounds incredible. It would sound you would win every competition you went into if you had a bigger turbo.
Yeah, there it is. The consummate and the weekly. You need a bigger turbo comment. I appreciate it.
Justin, welcome back.
But on that note,
my friend, it's been a minute, and thank you for tuning in.
Yes, Justin, what is up? Good to see you on a great night. We got a bunch of people on from here, from Facebook and YouTube, and I think now that we have most people we've had on tonight so far, let's get into the tier list because we have a really cool tier list. We've been talking about me getting a new car forever, and it's probably going to happen, I'm saying, in the next 6 months. And I know that that's a long time, but for what I want, we want to see if the spec is right, the pricing's right, blah, blah, blah. So, with all of that said,
a lot of shit's about to get more expensive.
Justin. Right. Yeah. So, look, let's make this tier list, and we have 10 cars or 10 vehicles to choose from. Chad, would you like to run down the list of vehicles that we're going to put into the categories? And would you like to run through the categories, which are also hilarious?
All right, so we're starting with the cars. So first one up is a Coyote-powered Corvette. Next is a Coyote-powered Mercedes. Next is a Coyote...
Also, shut up.
No, so the cars in question in no particular order are a C6 Z06 and 2012-ish E63 AMG, Jaguar F-Type R, which should come as literally no surprise to anyone watching. A Coyote-powered F-150, and that's not me just being me again. That's legit. We've talked about it. These things, for the money, are arguably the easiest and fastest way to get into the 11s, even the 10s. Then we have an E92, the Coupe M3. Greg was very specific about E92. Then we have an E10. Or what's the chassis designation on the M5?
F10.
F10.
F10 M5. Which is, just so everyone knows, it's the last rear-wheel drive M5.
Yes. Twin turboed. Yay. Then we have the Lexus.
Yep, twin turbo V8.
Yes. Then we have the Lexus RCF. Audi RS3. Dodge Challenger wide body Scat Pack. And to round it out, and the car we're going to start with, the Audi TT RS. And like Hanson said in chat, not a Volvo to be found. Although every single one of these cars is going to get a white block. No, I'm kidding.
So downgrades for all of them. Cool.
So we start off with the TT. And this and the RS3, I'm going to say, just save time. Same engine, 5-cylinder turbo, sounds like a V10 in mono. Epic sounds, all-wheel drive, eminently tunable.
Yes.
They're getting some
insanely
crazy,
tunable.
like, not saying Greg will ever go this route if, say, he got either of these, but there was a built RS3 that was one of the few cars when Ken Block was still alive to give him and the Unicorn a run for their money in the drag racing series they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 cars. That one being, I think, the first one that actually beat him, like straight up.
I think there are others, but in any rate, so these cars kind of check.
Oh yeah, I just mean in chronological order. If you like watch the videos, I think that was the first car to actually beat him.
Right. Either way, for a 2.5 liter 5-cylinder to keep up with a 412 cubic inch twin turbo, fully built race engine, all-wheel drive, custom tube chassis Mustang is insane. That being said,
Sure is. And just so everyone knows, this is Chad's ranking. I've already done this list.
Yeah, so I have.
We're gonna review mine later.
So we're gonna go over.
This is where Chad thinks these are gonna be.
Right, we're gonna go over mine. Then we have Greg's, but we also have Hanson's, which I'm interested in. And I noticed Hanson said the RCF track / Fuji edition, no less. Yes, it is, and that's why you are the reviewer extraordinaire, because you're able to pick that on how many pixels?
That is literally the smallest image imaginable, and Hanson picked that out. Like, honestly, like, lots of respect for that, because I can barely see it, and I know what you put there.
And I guess I should have explained this when I sent this to you. We're talking about a regular RCF. And anyway, back to the Audis. So there's a lot of good. There's a lot going for these. It's you end up with a Euro versus America angle between me and Greg with the Mustang and one of these. But I'll go to the RS3. The RS3, styling wise, the older ones look a little better, but I wouldn't hate Greg if he got it, and I think it would still be a lot of fun. But the all-wheel drive sort of Euro sedan wagon thing, I think Greg has done. And don't get me wrong, Hanson. I'd love if Greg had the budget for what the Fuji edition track. This list would be wildly different. And I apologize for misleading you. As for the TT, now we're getting into kind of a two-door sports car. It's no longer the hairdresser's car, even though if he got it, I would constantly make comments about a bald guy getting a hairdresser's car. I like it a little better, but it's not quite. The Audis, I'm in the middle. Like, they're good cars. They're great cars. I think we can make a lot of fun content with them. I think Greg would enjoy them. But
yeah, I was gonna say, if you put the RS3 there, you sort of have to put the TT in the same category.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, man, I really love the TT. It looks like a mini R8. The styling's way better. And only in that sense, you were just like, oh no, now we're talking, because it just looks way better. If you're talking about like pure performance, they have to be in the same category.
Right. Well, pure performance is not the only rider on this, because
true.
Because
but just between these two,
I mean, we have Corvette, AMG Mercedes, Jaguar Coupe, M car, F car, muscle car, and then a pickup truck.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So like, performance isn't the only thing. I try to look at it as like, one, a compelling story. Number two, what I think you would end up enjoying the most. And like, because again, if this list was, say, cars I want, number one, the list would be, if it was just these cars, it would be completely different. I have to take into account that I'm not buying this, Greg is. Next up, we have the Challenger wide body Scat Pack. This, Anthony goes, I'm going to vote no on the Dodge. What if I told you Greg's plan for it is to 12 valve swap it?
We're just gonna throw a 600 horsepower, 2,000 pound of torque diesel Cummins in it for no reason at all.
Weston Chaplin, here we come.
Yes, that guy's great. I love him.
And then Steve goes, Chad, we also have to put into understanding that Greg has kids, so I think street legal race cars are out. No.
That's what this is for. I got a kid car. We're good.
Steve with the classic Cummins V Power Stroke. Look, this one, I'm tempted to put it up here just because, hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Um,
Raise hell, praise Dale.
but I'm going to put it here. Now, Mustang v Challenger, that's a natural rivalry. These the Gen 3 Hemis are pretty strong, so you could Greg could apply boost if he's so inclined. But I also one of the cars that's not on this list that I thought was going to be is the Chevy SS, and I think these Challengers, just the way they drive, now they will surprise you in the twisties. I've driven them. They are surprising, but there's no getting around the mass. But again, the classic old school muscle car styling, and I mean this with love, isn't the first thing I think of when I think of Greg, which is kind of an odd thing. But
I mean, it's not offensive in any way. It's just like you've known me. We literally were just talking about this. Like, you've known me for what, 30 years? Like, if anyone should have opinions on things in that sense, it's you and Hanson. Like, you guys have known me the longest. So quite honestly, like, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, I like them a lot, but can you see me in them as part of this tier list? I think that's also something to factor in.
And I think Anthony also hit the nail on the head. Well, I'll paraphrase, but you cannot pull off the Mopard thing. And lastly,
Yeah.
and because some of these cars are going to be similar to kind of the Challenger in certain respects, and lastly though, like Mustang v Charger has been done. It's been done to death.
Yeah, since they were founded by everybody.
Well, everybody's been V Mustang.
Yeah.
The Camaro was
Since the
V
beginning.
Mustang. Challenger was the Mopar's response to the Mustang, and everything.
Right.
So I'm gonna put it there, and I think I'm good with that. Next up, the Lexus. I love these. They're flawed.
Yeah.
The early ones, the transmissions are a little slow, especially on like downshifts. Not crazy, not world-ending, but in a perfect.
What are the early ones? What years?
I forget. It's been such a minute, but I remember.
Or sub what? Like sub 2013, sub 2012 or something or whatever. I know there are more modern.
About 6-7
Lexus,
years
but
ago.
like.
Yeah.
Okay.
What made me fall in love with these was I had one of these go on an annual golf trip down to Atlantic City, or across the bay from Atlantic City, if we're being precise, or more precise. There's the words I'm looking for. Hey, Hanson, thanks for tuning in, man. Have a safe trip and enjoy the Broncos.
Yeah. Yes, safe travels, and we'll look for some epic Bronco content very soon.
Turns out Hanson's having a career in rodeo, and he just fooled us all.
Yeah, Hanson's just super into barrel racing now. For absolutely
he is going
no
to Nashville.
reason.
Or Knoxville.
True.
I love these things. We've talked about the 2UR a ton. The quote-unquote Japanese Coyote. They're great engines. This would actually
It's
be
the cool Comparo, by the way. If you want to say
well,
like
that's what I'm
Japanese
saying.
Coyotes,
It's
like,
this is
there's
a
a natural
pretty
thing.
natural comparison. It's effectively an American pony car versus a Japanese pony car.
Yeah. Very similar horsepower numbers, actually. Mustang S550s and S650s, GTs are 460 to 480, right? And these I think are 472. So they're right within 10 to 20 horsepower of each other.
Similar power bands. The 2UR is a rev happy V8. There's a lot going for this.
Yeah, I agree.
The only downside is when I actually was looking at these prior to getting the black Mustang. And I was really, really close to pulling the trigger on one of these or the ATS-V that we spoke about. Aftermarket-wise, when it comes to, say, boost, are almost non-existent. There's one that I could find. and it was like a centrifugal supercharger. Great product. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping. I forget the name of it at the moment. At the moment, but that sort of limits. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that Greg should boost it. I'm just saying it's some of these other cars. There's better options. So
Yeah.
I'm putting it second in the second tier. I think it would be. I think it would be actually be better. Put that here. There we go. I think it. There's a rivalry there. There's good content there. The cars are fun as hell. They sound incredible. V8 rivalry hills, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a luxury brand.
I haven't looked into it.
It's a luxury brand.
I wonder if there's. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
It is a luxury brand. So, that caters to the Captain Bougie Pants over there. I'm very tempted to kind of put it up here. We'll see. It's right on the border.
Yeah.
But
What I was going to say is, do they do NA builds on these?
you can. Again, it's very limited as far as like.
Sure.
I think you can get like.
But it's possible.
Yes. I think you can do like Kelford cams. I think there's like springs and retainers stuff out there, but it's not anywhere near the aftermarket that a lot of these other cars have.
Sure.
And again, things are limited, which means that the price is the price. It's not like you're going to be able to, with some of these cars, go and you have a wide array of, say, like the Corvette, right? You have a wide array of companies making camshafts for it, a wide array of people making heads for it, a wide array of exhaust, all of this stuff. Some better than others, but there's a good chunk of multiple brands making products that keeps the price kind of in check. So bang for buck, or what have you. But
Right.
I absolutely love those cars. I think Greg would absolutely love it as well. I think, as a lot of these cars, we're going to have to rethink his driveway, but
Well, I mean, the driveway actually is fine if there's not a car at the end of it, because I can come in on an angle from both sides. There's really easy ingress and egress from an angle. And when I did it correctly, when I had my Aston Martin, which was lowered, to only like 1 to 2 inches of ground clearance, I never scraped when there was no car in the driveway. So I think the solution is basically rip out the bushes on the side and put another patch on the side of the house for a car to be there. But that's a topic for another day. But yes, a lot of these are lower vehicles, if you will.
And I think the only reason it's not going up top is that it's some of these other cars in my own head will make for a better story or fit kind of a rivalry type setting a little bit better. On to, what is it? I think the G10 M5.
F10.
The Q10. Steve, we're not getting a Blazer RS for Greg. If anything, it would be like a K10 Blazer from back in the day. Look, it's got a lot of things going for it. It's a V8, a 4.4 liter V8 that's twin turbocharged.
Yeah.
And as we know with turbos, they're a cheat code to get easy, relatively inexpensive horsepower out of them. Downpipes, tune, probably another 50 to 75 wheel right there.
Yes. So the reason the F10 M5 is on this list is because people are out there with this particular generation with a tune and an exhaust system, downpipes, exhaust, like the full exhaust, a turbo back, if you will, with 750 crank horsepower. It has 575 crank from the factory. That is literally just an exhaust system, a downpipe, and a tune. And that's close to 200 horsepower with the crank. Like that is very similar to the RSs on the list with power upgrades as far as like
Yes.
percentages
Is that
of
on
like,
pump
oh,
or
a tune and a thing,
is
and you get an insane
is that
percentage
on pump
like
or
increase. That's
is
good.
that pump or
Yes,
E85?
it's on pump. That's on 93.
That being said,
It's an insane car.
um, I don't know. The next two, obviously, I think it's an insane vehicle in that sense of easy power. Not a lot of crazy building to get that kind of power.
Sure.
It's just, I don't know. Like, there are other M5s I would prefer you get. E39 being one of them. Actually, it's the only other M5 I think you should get.
Well, there's two M5s I would imagine you would want me to get. Is this one potentially, or the E39? Those are the, I mean, in my opinion, those are the only two M5s that exist. I know there's a bunch of others, but like to me, those are the two quintessential M5s.
Yeah, and it's
Quite
but
honestly.
here's the thing. Here's the thing I have to ask myself. It, I like the Audis better, so
Mm.
it goes down here now. Also, how do I put this? That's, let me put it to you this way. It from a juxtaposition from that to the Mustang, it's like, okay, well, of course, the one's a luxury full size sedan, the other one's a pony car bordering on a sports car, pretty much a sports car. But at any rate,
It's a sports car.
you know, um,
At this point, it's a sports car.
and it has that. Would you say it makes from factory?
What the M5? It's I think it's 575, but it's 550 or 575. It's one of
Right.
those. It's
And
basically the same as the F.
And the best thing is, we can push the Mustang beyond that NA, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's
Which
hard
is
for
very
me.
cool.
I don't. There's too much scar tissue for me to get excited about. Damn it. BMWs. Just everything else here is just something I prefer you get more. Which
Sure.
brings me to the E92 M3. We all know M3s. We all know this is the last NA M3. It's the second. It's the second M3 to come from factory with a V8. It has that 8,300 RPM redline. You know, individual throttle bodies. They sound pretty damn good when you put an exhaust on them. All of that being said, it would be cool to take a Mustang and make it rev higher than an M3. That would be really, really cool. Make way more power NA without ITBs. There's a lot of things going for it. Things going against it. The badge. And more importantly, been there, done that. Now, you could say the original plan when I got my Mustang was you and I were going to have a little rivalry with your E90 M3 and
Yep.
go from there, both being boosted, all this other stuff. But you've been down the road of these, and this goes for the M5 as well. You've been down the road with these, and we've seen firsthand how tuning can become an issue. Like all these things, and like BMWs, like, it's just there's a risk there with playing with them. So you've had one, BMW, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's there. I just
I knew that was going to be
You've
there.
been there, done that, and I think there are better options. So,
I do agree. You're not wrong.
which brings me to the F-150. We've talked about these ad nauseum here. Your boost, a lowering kit. I forget the exact name of the kit itself. It's escaping me at the moment.
Lip kit.
There it is. Away from having an easy 11-second car. And with a little bit,
Which is the thing to think about with a truck.
some transmission work, some uh, more, some more suspension mods, good tires, like 10-second car, and it's a truck, so you can go and do truck stuff. Um,
Truck nuts.
I'm putting it below the RCF, but above the Challenger, because again, the Challenger is kind of a straight line. In reputation, it's a straight line thing. It would be cool to see something like a handling build on it, but again, physics are physics, and there's no getting around that mass. So, why not have a 11-second truck that also handles that? Will just ultimate sleeper, the redneck GTR, as it's called.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's pretty much it. Like, again, with these top two things, these are like cars that look, Greg getting a new car, I'm stoked. That's awesome. There's a new plaything in the shifting lanes fleet. It's great. But as far as for borderline selfishly, these up here, these two, those are the ones I'm stoked for Greg, because like pulling them off is a pretty there's something epic in there. And again,
Also, Anthony just goes, if you do a truck, I'll send you some truck nuts. I think we can end the list. We're doing the truck
with truck nuts.
Free truck nuts. That's the selling point.
I think honestly,
vehicle.
I think you should actually get a casting, and therefore that's what's hanging off the back is the nuts.
A casting of what?
Think about it for a second, Greg.
Yeah, I'm not doing my own nuts. I would do aluminum truck nuts. I'm not casting my own testes. Get out of here.
No, I'm not. You don't have to dip it in hot aluminum. I just meant like like you would cast your hand, right? Like you put it in some plaster, epoxy, and then you pour.
No, I know. Yeah. No, I'm not. I know, but I'm not doing that either. I'm not dipping the nuts in the plaster and then aluminum molding.
You lack vision. Yeah, I think the F-150 is an incredible option. It's I mean, that thing's pretty easily faster than the Mustang for not much money, so it's a pretty awesome option. We're
Shut up, Doug. Making fun of my nut size.
No, I just think it'd be fucking hilarious if someone like pisses you off on the highway and you cut them off, and then they get an eyeful of like an exact replica of your nuts. Like it's like
oh man. It would be very unique.
Moving on to Mercedes. A lot of things going for it. This has the 6.2, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
One of the best European V8s ever made. They take the power really well, but similar to the BMW, but even more so, Mercedes tax is real.
Oh yeah.
So owning it's going to be more
Sure
expensive,
is.
which means mods are doing fun stuff. It's going to be fiscally limited. So it goes next to the M5 for me. Yes, it fits with your luxury.
It's the same class of car.
Yeah, but it fits with like the bouginess you like. It's a cool car. They do make a wagon variant, which could propel it into here if you got the wagon. Actually, if
the wagon tax is real on that thing. That's the problem. Like the sedans, the ones I've been looking at are all-wheel drive, but for this list, we're talking rear-wheel drive stuff, which is like 2012, 2013, I think, is when the last AMG E cars were made. But I was also looking at the all-wheel drive ones, and man, you can pick up like a 2015, 2016 one of these things, 577 horsepower for low 30s with not a lot of miles, like 60, 70,000 miles, right? The wagons for that same amount of or that same generation are 20 to 30 grand more. It is absurd the amount of wagon tax on this particular car. Like, there's wagon tax on stuff like V70Rs versus X60Rs. Sure, there's like another 5-10 grand tacked on top, depending on what it is. S60 Polestars versus V60 Polestars. You're looking at yeah, again, another 5-10 grand. But $20,000 to $30,000 is just absurd. Like, I love wagons, but fuck that. I'm very much down for a sedan in that case.
Yeah, and at that point, it loses a lot for me.
Yes.
Um,
Now, if I were to hit the lottery,
yes.
yes, in for the wagon.
Steve goes, Gregson, find an older Raptor that wasn't beaten to shit. On the first gen Raptors,
Good luck.
Rust is a bit of a thing. Number two, off-road stuff, I see that as Greg's like fourth or fifth vehicle. I see him having the fun to drive wagon, the sporty car, the a more performance focused, bordering on not a purebred track vehicle, but a more track focused vehicle. Until we start getting into, stuff like the Raptor or what have you. I want one. I still want one.
Same.
But as like, Greg's gonna have two cars. He's gonna have the wagon. What's next? And that's a C6 Z06. It goes up here.
I mean, yeah. And list.
And scene. Look, we've talked about this. I think one, it doesn't fit with Greg's love for tech and quality interiors. It's been well documented on these, but on the flip side, it would be cool to see a C6 with a really nice interior, with a nice head unit that has CarPlay and stuff, a nice digital dash, keeping the HUD and everything like that. In addition to heads, cams, assuming you've done like trunnions and things like that, or if you just do the heads, it's going to get done anyway. Heads, cam, good intake, long tubes. Greg's well over 600 horsepower without really trying too hard.
NA too. So
chop,
not boosted.
These things sound incredible when they're singing. Is it the quintessential midlife crisis car? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Is it just
any Corvette is?
Is it just an incredible bang for buck? And to me,
also yes,
the single greatest Corvette ever made. I think you're going to start to see. I also think of all the cars we've talked about, this one, I think you're going to start to see. It's going to be a slow, but these things are going to. Well, I shouldn't say they're going to. They've already started. They're going to climb in price because 7-liter V8, big ass V8, American car, last of the great naturally aspirated Corvettes. That has the front mid-engine rear drive layout, not the rear mid that the C8 has. It checks every boxes. Again, a very healthy aftermarket. We talked about it last week. The LS7 is an incredible 427 cubic inches, 7 liters. They're nuts. They're bonkers. And I love that it is instead of boost, instead of whatever, they just said, nope, we're just going to make the engine bigger. And I'm here for that. I think Corvette v Mustang is a pretty interesting rivalry. It's been done, and the Corvette's got a lot going for it, mainly weight, lower CG and everything. But I think it would just be a really cool stable for us to have, right? Corvette, Mustang, both are just enormous slabs of FU Europe.
Yeah, I agree.
And last, but not least, the Jaguar F-Type. Before we touch on that, I'm going to finally answer Greg's question about going over the tiers.
I think that we're on our last car.
Um, they're pretty
Uh,
self-explanatory.
I mean, it's pretty obvious what the tiers
You
are.
know, no, as your friend just no. You probably shouldn't. Again, I don't hate these. So if Greg got it, great. That'd be awesome. That'd be fun. Now we're talking. It's like, hey, now we're stuff that we can get exciting, and then hell yeah. Like, in addition to, I honestly think anything in this top tier is the favorite for Greg to buy. And that brings me to the Jaguar F Type. If you've paid any attention, you know it goes here. Um,
Yeah.
no,
No.
look, Greg loves the F Type, loves it. It's one of the best looking two door coupes made in the last 20 years. It comes factory boosted. It has a V8. It makes incredible noises. It does the, pops and cracks and all that Greg loves and needs in his life. And here's why, for me, why I think this would, without question or shadow of a doubt, be the most fun car as for that rivalry or for the comparison or whatever you want to call it between the Mustang, is this makes 550 supercharged horsepower out of 5 liters. I'm going to be pushing at the crank 580. So it's really cool to sit here and say the supercharged Brit doesn't make as much as the naturally aspirated American. I love that idea. I love that angle.
True.
I love that. That in turn, it will hopefully inspire Greg to do things like pulleys, ported supercharger, tune, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, because people have these things up in the 700s.
You
So,
know,
not that that's like a ton, but for an F type, that's a pretty
it's a hell of a
pretty
lot of
good
power.
amount.
The only downsides to
Yeah,
these,
it
as
is.
far as I can tell, is Greg once again wusses out and gets an automatic. Pouring one out for Greg.
Yeah, that's the only bummer to these cars. They had a manual, but it was only in the V6. And to Keith, what's up, man? Good to see you on stream as always. You can get them for less than 30K easy. Yes, you can get the V6s for less than 30K. The Rs, which are the V8s, you cannot touch a good one for under 35. The 35 is about the bottom. There are some kind of shit kicker ones that are in the low 30s. There are some crashed ones on Car Gurus that have been sitting there for a long time that are like 22, 24, but I'm talking like the entire left rear quarter panel is just gone. Like the quarter panel's gone, the wheel is gone, the axle is gone, it's gone. Like all of it's gone. Like no. Um if I'm gonna get one, I'm gonna get one that's actually together. Like I don't want to do like an actual build. For the R's, 35 to 45 is a good range for what you're looking at, depending on mileage, depending on location in the country. I've been literally tracking the prices on these for 7 years. So it's one of those things that just like I'm super well versed in what to look for at this point. I know what's going on with them. I know how the market is on them. They're pretty bottomed right now, which is cool. So, but I agree. I mean, it's a cool thing. It's a cool car, Mustang rival, and it's sort of the best of both worlds. It's classy when you want it to be. It's also rowdy as hell when you want it to be. So it's got that really nice juxtaposition and that really nice sort of Jekyll and Hyde sort of personality, which is kind of nice, which is right up my alley. So, with that said, Chad, your tier list is quite lovely. I have to say, I don't think it's. I mean, based on your opinions on things and what I know your opinions are, this is pretty much where I thought things would fall. I'm surprised about the Challenger not being with Hell Yeah Brother because of the American thing. That's my only surprise, I would say.
What you kind of have to understand is that I'm not like an American homer just because I have a Mustang. Do I like American cars? Yes, but like, it's not the be all end all.
Yeah.
Again, personally speaking, I would rather an RCF over a Challenger Scat Pack. Just personal preference.
True.
But I think real quick before you might as well message me yours.
That's what I'm looking down at my phone to do right now.
But we're gonna bring up Hanson's list. The
Yep.
RCF. It's such a cool car. Can't argue with him really there. He does have like the
Yeah, I
M5
agree.
and the E63, but he also knows Greg really well. He figures, okay, let's put bougie stuff up there. He's gonna like it.
Yep.
You know.
I also know Hansen really loves the Challenger wide bodies specifically.
Yes.
He likes the wide body Dodges, but specifically the Challenger. Like he also has looked into potentially purchasing one a couple of years ago. So I know he loves that car. So that's that. I'm not surprised that's in the top two.
He has the truck down here, which I kind of get. He's not the biggest truck guy. With the RS3, which put there, then the TTRS is a tier lower, and then what do you know? We both agree on the
Uh, yeah, not surprised at all. So let's look at his list. For me, again, not surprised. I know Hanson's a big Lexus fan. He loves most of the Lexus products. He's especially fond of the Lexus SUVs because you can pick up the older V8s for super cheap, like 15 to 25 grand, for a really good SUV that you can build into an off-road monster. So he's a big fan of those. Um, I know he's driven the RCF many times, and all three of us have driven it. Like we love it. It's a great car. Definitely a dated interior, but Lexus seems to do that thing where they have dated stuff, but it's also just stupid reliable. So, who cares? It's a Lexus V8 that's going to be insanely reliable. Like, what's not to like? Jag F Type R, of course, up top. He knows me. Um, yeah, I'm not surprised about his list. I am actually the biggest surprise for me is that the M5 and the E63 are in the second tier and not the third one. I'm surprised he put them in now we're talking, but
Again, I
to
think that's
me, I
because
guess
he
it makes
knows
sense.
you because you're one bougie ass motherfucker.
That is true. I do like the bouge, not the booze, the bouge.
All right, which brings me to
Yes, I'm excited for this because there are going to be some cars and tiers that you're like, what? That's not what we've talked about at all.
there we go. Um, here's your tier list. Uh,
So obviously nothing's in the bottom because I want all these cars.
Well, the funniest thing is you have some and like you probably shouldn't, and it's like I can hear your internal argument. It's like my mind's telling me no, but my heart's telling me yes. Like,
But my body's telling me yes.
like,
Yeah, exactly. So I'll go bottom up. So TTRS, I don't think it's as good looking as the RS3, which is why I said that argument to begin with when you had them on the same tier. They're the same thing. I also, it's not as practical. For me, I'm a wagon guy. I love practicality. A four-door sedan, however small it is, with the same engine and internals that the TTRS has. TTRS is a great car. I think it's attractive. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a really cool looking car. The RS3, I think, is a better looking car. It's more practical, and I can carry the kids around at 100 miles an hour if I truly wanted to. The TTRS does not afford me that opportunity. So that's basically the reasoning. E92, I will die on this hill. I believe that that is going to go down as the best M3 of all time because of the engine. I know it's not really that reliable. I know it's not that there are other better M3s that everyone says. I truly think that 50, 100 years from now, when internal combustion engines are outlawed, I really think everyone's going to look back and be like, man, that was the best M3. And not because I've owned one, just because it's so unique. It's so different than every single other M3 because of that engine. And it's just a cool engine and it sounds amazing. I put it in that column because I probably shouldn't. I've already owned one. So
duh.
I love them. I love them. I do want another one, but there are cars on this list that I want to own more than that. If there is someone that is a one owner, 20,000 miles that doesn't know the price of these cars and offers it up for $25,000, screw the rest of the cars on this list. I'll buy that and flip it. Like that will be the next car. I'll make content with it for 6 months and then flip it. Like that's the avenue I can see myself getting this again. There's no other really avenue. So, Chad, you can probably rest your head at night knowing that I probably won't get another E9 XM3 of some kind as the next thing. Um, the F-150, what Anthony said in chat, it really is cool. It's like, especially if you go with like the sports truck, right? Single cab, not a not a short bed. Yeah, I guess a short bed. Single cab, short bed. Coyote engine with the supercharger, like that's cool. That doesn't exist. Like you have to build that yourself. Like that's cool. I think that's a really cool thing. RS3, ballistic missile of a car. So I would love it. But there are other cars I'd rather own on the list. The the Bavarian Blitzkriegs are definitely in the now we're talking for me, just because
Bougie.
there's something really cool about
Being bougie?
not just the bouginess of it. They are bougie. They are very fancy. But there's also something really cool about a luxury sedan being able to go 200 miles an hour down the Autobahn. And these are the ones that are within range. And they're within range within like more than a shout. Like you can pick up good examples for less than $35,000 of both of these things. So for me, I'm like, oh, well, that's 100% in the price range. We got massive horsepower. We got room for the family. Great. What's not to love? So like, but again, not a wagon on the list because you can't touch the E63 AMG wagons, and the M5 wagon doesn't exist here until the new one that just is coming out. So
here's where
it's one of those things.
I these cars start to potentially become like an exciting option, and that is your wife puts the kibosh on all the two doors.
Right, exactly. Oh well, the two doors. Sure, you're able to like. Should the Volvo break down, you're able to get around. But like, how are you going to bring the kids to gymnastics? How are you going to bring the kids to swimming lessons? Like, well, two door can't really do that. But a 575 horsepower rear wheel drive M5 sure can. So like it is an interesting scenario when you look at it in that sense. C6Z06 being on second tier. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, let me put it to you this way. I think you're high, but I also know you. And I know, and I keep making the bougie joke, you are a fan of really nice interiors with good tech. What is the Corvette up until about maybe the C7s, but definitely until the C8s? What is the Corvette constantly being ragged on for? It's the quality of the interiors.
Interior quality.
The plastics, everything, it's an engine strapped to a body and the interior is there. Just deal with it. Don't complain. V8 noises. So it's not surprising. I figured you'd have it there. I figure you can be tempted into one, but because another reason why I had it on the top tier was also because I think you would absolutely love. I think where I love engines and horsepower and how you make horsepower and different things that shouldn't be or what have you, you're a fan of interior and technology and all of that. I thought you might really enjoy a build like that, where you get to pick the interior, you get to pick the technology, you get to pick all of this different stuff, and finally make something that's yours. Now, it is a little bit more custom, so like bang for buck isn't necessarily there, but like
sure.
I picture you sitting here and being like, okay, I want those suites. We're redoing the entire dash in something that isn't this level plastic. Picking the material and the color and like, all the way down to like the carpets and, figuring out, oh, I like this head unit, but it doesn't fit. How do we get it to fit? Oh, now, and all of a sudden someone comes in and goes, wow, this feels like a modern car, and it's exactly the way you wanted it. That, for me, But for you, I feel like that's something you could get
Yeah.
really excited for. But it's as it sits, I'm not
I
surprised it's where you put it where you put it.
Okay, I agree with you on that. I would love to do that. It's just the money, yeah, isn't there for that particular build. Like currently, doesn't that's not to say like I could get the car, enjoy it, and then upgrade it over time because that's 100% what you can do. Especially with like shifting lanes money where you just set aside a certain amount of money, then you give it to say Blue Sky every month and be like, hey, when we hit X amount, because it's all a write off at that point because it's business money because you're making content on it, right? At that point, it's like, oh well, once we hit X amount of money, let's do the interior. Cool. Then you continue to enjoy it. Then X amount of money builds up again. Let's do a supercharger. Let's do an engine build. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But you're right. Like for me, if I'm going to like my dream C6 build would be to buy it, hand it over to Jeff and Jesse at Blue Sky, and be like, "Here, make it cool, and your budget is whatever." And then they can like run wild with it. Like they can do new paint, they can do full interior, they can do everything they wanted to that they've ever wanted to do to a C6 car. Build the engine, tear it down to its studs, do everything possible to it that they've ever wanted to, and just write them a blank check. Like that's my dream C6 build because they're hot
Texas
rodders. They
Speed 440 crate engine.
I know also that yeah, I know.
720
that
NA horsepower.
I mean, that's insane. What's the literage on that thing?
Well, oh god, I have to math.
Is it in the eights? Have they?
No,
It's still in the sevens. I'm sure there's a bore and stroke upgrade to those things.
yeah, but you have to remember, yeah, it's basically 7.3 liters.
Okay, so it's not like
No,
wild.
no, because 427 to 444 isn't a lot of cubes.
It's not huge. Yeah, true.
That's maxing out the pick and LS. The
Right,
amount of meat
right.
you have, the amount of tolerance you
Yeah.
have for stroke and things like that.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that would be.
if it's
Here's the thing, though. I think the Corvette would be, as far as if we put it up against the Mustang, would be like the third most interesting car on this list, just because the Corvette out of the box is hard to catch up to when it's already got a 500-pound advantage. Now, it would be cool for me to strip my car, or 500 pounds is hard to do, but that would be kind of cool. I also secretly hope that you find a C6 Corvette, put a Z06 body on it, and a Coyote in it. I secretly hope that's I think that would be so fucking funny, just to see people.
Look, like we always say, if I or one of us wins the lottery, that is a thing that's happening.
Yes,
Absolutely. Because just to troll the purists. And I would probably buy a nice one too.
And then just to piss
make
them
it
off,
even more anger inducing.
and just to piss them off, you'd go and get a Mustang and LS swap it, being like, "Haha, what are you gonna say now?"
Yes. That's right. I would Coyote swap a Corvette and then LS swap a Mustang at the same time. And just be like,
Or just
"Meh."
take the LS from the Corvette, put it in the Mustang, take the Mustang.
Yeah, just literally just swap the engines. What are you gonna do now? They're my cars, idiots.
And then, like, in the background, like, slowly zooming in is a Challenger, like a V8 Challenger that has, like, a 2J in it.
Yes, absolutely. Or do a RCF Hemi swap. This is an RCF with a Hemi.
You just
in it,
keep
and
taking
then-
the engine out of
and
cars
then-
and putting engines that don't belong, and putting it in a car. That
Yup.
doesn't belong. That sounds like a series.
Great idea for a YouTube channel.
That sounds like a series, I'm not going to lie.
It sure does, absolutely.
All right, if I could have a spare $1 million.
now I need unlimited funds.
All right, we're going on strike.
Yeah,
I want 70% over
yeah.
12 years.
Oh man.
Anywho,
Well,
before we get into your top three,
yes,
I have to. My back teeth are floating.
urinate.
Yes. So
Yes. So leave this up. Just go because I'll ask everyone in chat. So
Chat,
are
put
there any
your list
surprises?
and tell Greg
Yeah,
where he's
that's
wrong,
actually
where he's right,
that's
etc. Go. Steve already
that's actually a
started,
great idea.
and explain to Greg
Yeah,
why
Steve
he
already
should get a
started.
Kia Stinger.
Yeah, no. Kia Stingers is one of the most loathsome cars ever, and it has nothing to do with the actual car. The Kia Stinger is actually a very good car. It's the fact that Kia made it in the first place. They had an opportunity, and I've said this about 1,000 times, and I'll say it until the day I die. Kia had an opportunity to make this Stinger GT concept, which is a two-door halo car to bring people into dealerships to make Kia have a really fun, interesting sports car. And it was, in my opinion, one of the best looking concept cars in the last 30 years. And that's true, going all the way back into the 90s, which were wild for concept cars and really good ones too. The Stinger GT concept car is in my top 5 for concept cars just because like Kia came up with it when they didn't have any clout at all. And then they made a 5-door, or sorry, they made a, well, I guess you can count it as a 5-door because it is technically a hatchback. They made a 4-door sedan hatchback thing that nobody asked for. They had the Optima. They could have made an Optima GT. They could have made anything in their lineup faster. They could have made it better. But they decided to make this totally unnecessary 4-door sedan that could be quicker than a Chevy SS at the time. Who cares? Sedans are basically non-existent, and they made it when sedans were going out of style. Instead of making this really cool thing to make Kia this really interesting brand, they decided to just make this sedan. And cool, great, it was fast. It was also kind of ugly too. The lines on it were bad. The brake lines from the rear bumper to the quarter panel to the roof line, all of it was bad. It was just not a good designed car. Period. It was, to me it's an ugly car. The front end is okay. The side profile is gross and the rear end is gross. It's just to me I don't like them. And the idea of them is just like loathsome to me because of what they could have made. They are good cars. I will admit that they're good cars. They're reliable. They do not break a lot. As far as Kias go, they're one of the best that Kia's ever made. But man, I I will die on this hill that it is also the worst car Kia ever made because of what they could have done and because they already had sedans that they could have just made cooler that weren't ugly. The Optima is way better looking than the Stinger of the time. The Optima was way better looking. Interior be damned. The exterior styling was way better on the Ultima Nissan, the Optima than the Stinger to me. And again, looks are subjective, but man, I hate the Kia Stinger with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns. Uh, Todd, what's up, man? Good to see you in chat. Todd, also a Volve bro, is selling his very rare V90 modern, so an SPA platform. From what I've heard, Todd, please correct me if I'm wrong. V90 R design. I think it's an R design. It's a blue with the silver mirror caps. Um, Gorgeous car. One of the best designed Volvos, which is saying something. That it is just gorgeous. They're great. Um, but in chat, what is your list? Give me your tier rankings for these 10 cars. I'm really curious. I know it's probably been said, but just list them out with commas, like list them all out because I'm really curious to see uh what um what you think on the list. Elliot goes, I'm biased towards long wheelbase, low roof, sedans, hatchbacks. They all look to me, at least i.e. Audi RS7, but we can disagree. I love the Audi RS7. I think that is a very well designed car. The Stinger is not a well designed car. The only thing that those two cars have in common is that they are hatchback sedans. That's it. The design is wildly different between them. The RS7 actually was designed. The Kia Stinger was kind of slapped together because they wanted it to exist. There, just look at the lines on the rear, and I'm not talking like the lines of the car. I'm talking about the brake lines between quarter panel and the panels. The lines make no sense on that car. There's lines intersecting headlights, the tail lights. There's line intersecting other body panels, wheel wells. The brake lines on that car are just tragic. They are so gross. I really, really can't stand them. But give me your rankings in chat because I want to see them. I want to see where you guys are placing things. Oh, hang on. I have a work message I have to look at. Oh, never mind. It's not important.
Office is on fire.
Nope. Never mind. Before we get to the top tier, I also have to do the same thing Chad did. And when I get back, we're going to do it, and I'll make it real quick.
Shit, hold on one second.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by. I will stay here until Chad returns just to entertain you. Anthony thinks the F-150 build for him tops it, and then the Dodge, BMWs, and Merc at the bottom, everything else in between. I mean, that's about standard from what I would thought Anthony would say. He also said that, earlier in chat, F-150 build would be tops for him, so not surprising. And now, with that said, I will be right back.
So I saw some of you discussing it, etc. But what car on this list? What car isn't here on, say, Greg or my list? Just keep the correct list up. That you would think. Now, keep in mind for Greg, not necessarily for you personally. Like, what do you guys think would be an 11th or 12th car? A car that's not pictured here that you would want to see. For me personally, I don't know. The F-Type kind of fills that role because it's that British long hood, short deck sports car. I wish cars like the Aston Martin V8 Vantage was here. What else would I think? I mean, personally, I would also love to see Greg, say, finish one of the 240s. But Nancy goes, if you're going to go down the rabbit hole of a money pit, at least make it a build. Sean goes, he also votes for the F-150 with a slight lift, so the opposite direction Greg would kind of take, more of an off-road build. Sean also goes, the BMW and Audi should probably be set on fire and pushed off a cliff so he doesn't have to deal with the maintenance costs of either. Throw the Mercedes in there as well. That's also going into it. Some of these premium brands are going to come with premium repairs, even though... Why? Anthony, totally out of the price range unless you call it some favors or something, but the Rivian R1S. Wow, man buys an electric car and then suddenly it's EV this and EV that. No, I'm kidding with you. I mean, stuff like that would be kind of cool. I know a couple of things. Number one, Greg is really itching for a V8. He's really itching for that sound back in his life. I think he misses the Aston. So, what else would be in here? Like, I'll tell you what, prior to COVID, there was a lot of cars on this list that you could think of. If your budget was like $45,000, you were getting into a second gen Viper, which is a dream car of mine. Probably the first sign that I've hit the lottery is I get one of those, which are in the 50, 60 range, which I think, again, it has that Carroll Shelby tie, but I think the C6 Z06 will follow it at some point, maybe not reaching the same levels, just because of, the Viper is the Corvette seems eternal, right? Like we've had Corvettes since the 50s without a break. The Viper comes and goes, so there's a little bit more of that rarity slash special feeling for it. Doug goes V60 Polestar, the new one, maybe the last, with 450 horsepower. Those cars are all very interesting to me. Like that twin charged plus hybridization, like there's a coolness to it, especially with the total power output that they can provide. But man, if he's gonna have a Volvo wagon Polestar, I'd rather see him build the Volvo wagon Polestar that he has now. Just because of the way it sounds, it's still relatively an analog car. It gets up and goes. From that standpoint, Elliot Manning, Camaro SS post 2018 with the better front end. Agree. 10-speed auto instead of the 8-speed. I would add. 10R80s, jointly developed with Ford, so it's a similar transmission, if not the same transmission that the Mustangs have. And he knows the visibility sucks. Well, keep in mind he's looking at the F-Type, and the visibility out of that is tragic, especially if you want anything outside of this periphery. The rear window is merely a suggestion of, is it day or night? You don't see much out of the back of those. I actually, a couple years ago, when Greg was first started the idea of getting a two-door sports car, I said go Camaro. He hates the Camaro. He'd rather a Chevy SS, i.e. the four-door Camaro. But the last Camaro to exist, I like the styling of it, but it's, but again, if you're going the LS route, why not just get the best LS ever made, which is the LS7 and a Corvette? Just saying. Greg's back.
Two things on what you just said / what Anthony just put in chat. I don't hate the Camaro. I nothing it. I'd rather buy a Mustang. The end. I'd rather buy a Challenger. The end.
Because I think
both of those cars do way more for me.
I think they do way more in general, in the sense that the
Sure.
Challenger does muscle car better than the other two, better than the Mustang, better than
Yes.
the Camaro. The Mustang
Yes.
does sort of modern interpretation of pony car, i.e. independent rear suspension, a focus and emphasis on really good braking, really good handling, giving the overall size of the vehicle, etc. It has a modern engine, what have you. And then Camaro, it feels like tried to be in the middle. Old school low
Yep.
V8, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but, it doesn't do the muscle car as good, and it doesn't do the modern pony / sports car as good as the Mustang. So it's like,
Yeah.
you just have to be, you're buying it because you're a bow tie fan. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure. If someone handed me a ZL1 or an SS1 LE, I'm not going to say no.
No.
But I'm not going to go out and buy one either. And then to what Anthony said, so if it wasn't for the price point, I'd say F it, CTSV wagon, boosted V8 bougie wagon. The only wagon I don't like. It has nothing to do with performance. I don't like the looks. I don't like the interior. The interior quality on them is not good. With what everyone, they fade so fast. Unless you baby the living hell out of that generation of CTS.
And it was still in GM's phase where they weren't really doing interiors well. They've just hit it
Correct.
best in the... And I don't even want to say best, but...
Yeah, it's the one wagon that everyone's like, oh man, this is the coolest wagon. I'm just like, again, it's the same thing as the Camaro. If someone handed one to me, I'd be like, cool, great, I'll drive this, but I am not going to buy one. I do not like them.
Not for nothing. I mean, and this goes to Sean's comment slightly. I honestly, Coyote swapping a 240 wagon should happen.
I mean, I would love to do that, but I know that that's going to be a $40,000 to $50,000 bill.
We'll start hooking.
One, you have to. You can swap it for sure, but there's like safety and reinforcements that are needed for that chassis.
You
with
know?
a Coyote, especially with what I would want to do with a Coyote.
Right.
Um, I mean, same LS, even if it's an LS, same thing. I know you can grab a 5.3 out of a junkyard, huck it in, turbo it, and it'll be a nuclear missile. Like fine,
Ooh, this gives me an
not what I
idea. I
want to
think
do with a car.
I looked this up. I don't know how it would work interior wise, but you know what has a similar wheelbase to. I know I did it for the 240 coupe. I don't know what the
Mhm.
wheelbase difference is between the coupe and the sedan and the wagon, but the coupe is within an inch or so of a C5 Corvette's wheelbase.
Oh, you did tell me this. Yeah.
So how cool you'd have to wide body the 240, which
Oh,
I'm here for.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
but how cool would that be?
That
Then you
would
could
be
drop.
very sick.
That would be insane to me.
It would be very cool. But for the purposes of this discussion, let's
Hold
get to
on,
the top three.
real quick. I just want to touch on.
Oh yeah,
Sean goes, if I still own Balthasar, I donate that 245. Greg already has two.
I do have two.
Anywho, your top three, in no particular order,
Yes.
is the Jag, the Challenger, and the Lexus. Let's start with the Lexus.
Yeah. Are you surprised that that's on the top tier for me?
Yes and no. Um, yes, in the sense that it's not one we talk about a lot, but it's one we've talked about. I also think, even with these, for the last 10 to 15 years, when it comes to the luxury manufacturers, I don't think anybody's doing it better than Lexus. So that fits in with, Gregson likes nice things.
Yeah.
And then,
Also, oh, go ahead.
and then I've been singing the praises of the 2UR for a long time now. So eventually that's going to stick, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Very true.
so in one hand, I'm surprised. In the other hand, like, I think that is a really good place. That's a really cool car. It does, it's a little bit bigger, but it's going to have a little bit better ride quality. It does have two seats. So in theory, you could shove a kid back there. Not that you should shove children, but
You can gently place them in the
I
back.
really like them. And I think it ticks a lot of your boxes. And again, like, who doesn't love a screaming V8, especially one that goes above 7?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Screaming NAV8 with the right exhaust. Like there is a video out there. Someone straight piping that thing. And it's one of those things that just like I think about it like once a month. Just because it's like that sound. Oh my God, that sound. It is etched into my brain forever. Because it sounds so good. Most of the cars on this list have a video in my brain forever. But that one in particular, like again, it's Lexus, so it's unexpected. And knowing me, like I like weird cars, but I also but in the unique way. Like you wouldn't think Lexus has cool V8s. Like most people don't think of Lexus as a performance brand. They think of them as a very reliable luxury brand. But they make cool V8s, and the V8s sound epic. So like it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, you have a little Lexus two-door coupe, very cool. And then you start it, and they're like, holy actual shit. Like that's cool to me. I love that. Um, the Challenger, I like Hanson. I love these. They are, and I think this is the one of the few things the three of us at Shifting Lanes agree on. The Challenger is the best looking modern muscle car. Period.
It does. Yes, I will agree with that,
Muscle
but it
car.
also does muscle car the best. It does retro
Correct.
way
Yes.
better than the others did.
Yes, agree. The Mustang, I don't even put in this category anymore. The Mustang is now a sports car. It is no longer a muscle car. It's no longer a pony car. The Mustang now, modern Mustang, it's a full-fledged sports car, quite frankly. Like it can do things that it rightfully shouldn't be able to do if the Mustang was still like the Mustang that we know from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Like it's a sports car now, period. The Challenger is not. It is a land yacht, and it is a definite muscle car for sure. It is good in a straight line. They can handle, like, people that say they can't handle just haven't driven them. They just can't handle better than Mustangs or Camaros. They can definitely handle. They are good cars. Lots of body roll. You can negate that with suspension work. Fine. But they're cool. They just are cool. They really are. Especially when they're wide bodied. So wide body scat packs, you can get them between 40 and 50K. And you can get them from CarMax with a warranty, but like low 40s. So they are a really good prospect for something. And when that warranty runs out, you can supercharge it because it's a Hemi. You're muted.
And I think arguably because we've all, well, I say we, I mean, shifting lanes, we've driven our fair share of a lot of different versions of the Challenger. And it does better than any other car that I've ever driven, apart from actually driving a classic, of giving you all the modern stuff you want, but transporting you to a different era, transporting you back in time.
Yep.
Giving you that feeling of life was just, when you had a car like this, it was light to light. That, really sick vibe. And it does that so well. Like, everyone wants to sit here and talk about how 0 to 60 quarter mile times, track times, what it can do on a skid pad, all this other sort of stuff. And then there's the intangibles, the stuff you can't touch, the stuff you can't quantify. There's for me in the Mustang, it's one of those things of like you said, it is a sports car now. It does have a modern, arguably the best current V8 being sold, all things considered. There's a sense of feeling there's just that sense of all of that coming together. There's the sense of, and again, I think this is where the Camaro kind of lacked. In the Challenger, there's that sense of occasion. There's that throwback. There's that, transports you to a simpler time kind of a thing. And it just feels, those cars, the Challengers, feel really cool driving 40 miles an hour, just cruising, which is a really hard feat to pull off. And then you can stamp on it, and you got a V8 ready to sing. It's really, it's such a vibe, and I totally get why you'd be into that.
It is. But it's an old school modern. It's an old school modern vibe because you get the modern tech with it too, which is cool.
Yeah.
So you get CarPlay, but you have retro tacks and retro gauges. You get a modern looking muscle car with retro vibes, but in the interior, like, the seats are pure old muscle car. Like, they're modernized, but they still have like a cloth option with like a houndstooth kind of design in the middle with the B and the 392 in the seat. Like, there's just cool. It's just cool shit. It really is. It's just quintessentially, it's just a cool car. Period. It really is. And the fact of the matter is that they sound great. They're fast in a straight line. You can make them handle better with suspension work, and they're just cool cars. Period. I like them a lot, honestly. I really do.
But now we get to the Vegas favorite, the
right,
the car everyone here is thinking. All right, we talk about this a lot. Why don't Greg just shut up and get the fucking F-Type R already?
Here's where the F-Type... So, we all know the arguments for me for the F-Type. Here's where the F-Type falls apart. There are screaming deals on any of these other cars, and I'm so particular about the F-Type at this point, after lusting after it for so long, that my dream one never comes about within the price range that I could afford. That is where the F-Type falls apart. That being said, if you own a car, you can always turn it into what you want, i.e. the argument with the C6 in the interior. So, I don't know. For me, it is one of those things where, yes, it is the odds-on Vegas favorite for me for my next car. However, there are other aspects of these other cars that are more up my alley than just getting a second car for interesting purposes. Like, yeah, I want to make content with it. Yeah, but I also am like, do I also want to be able to transport my family around in it? Because, going to a car show with my wife and two kids in an F10 M5 or an E63 AMG or a Lexus RCF that's got, suspension worked onto it, lowered, looks cool, makes a great noise. Like, those are also very high priorities on my list. So it's really going to be, I think it's going to boil down to is, can I find what I want at the price point with the F-Type? If I can't, any of these other cars are literally ready to take the number one seed.
Interesting. I think you just have to have
Like,
a running, like, I think every week you have to come out with like your college football playoff rankings, and
mhm.
that's who gets to come with you to the car show
Yes.
in the one seat scenario of the F Type.
Yes. I think that's probably a good call. The boys need to be 10 years old at least in this scenario. So we're gonna have to wait at least another 5 years for my youngest
I mean,
to
and it's a
to
win-win.
be
Like,
10.
come on, you'd be like, sorry, hon, can't pick up the kids. I'm in the
Yeah.
Jag.
I mean, yeah.
Ah, damn it.
Exactly.
Um.
How are the Mets doing? Are they
They,
terrible?
well, they Milwaukee just hit a two-run shot to take a two-run lead.
Ah, damn it.
Balls and sacks, of course. I don't know why I thought
When's the last time the Mets won the series? It was 86, right?
last time they won it was in '86. Last time they were in it was 2015.
Yeah, I know they've been in it multiple times since. I remember in the 2000s there was a Subway Series. I think that was 2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's about it.
2000 Subway Series. They've been in it a couple more times. So no,
It's '86, the Subway Series, and 15. That's it.
I thought they made it like one or two other
They did
times.
in their history, but like one I think was in like
No,
'76.
yeah, no, I meant modern. Yeah.
Yeah, nope.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Welcome to my misery. Here's the thing I think this is all going to come down to. And I think, honestly, any of these cars that aren't the Jag that you test drive, you should purposely try to drive past a Jaguar dealership
Yes.
so that you see an
And
F
just
Type
pressure test them.
and feel the longing. Like, let me ask you a question. What is the spec that you want that prices it out? Is it a performance feature, an interior feature, a comfort feature, a
I mean, it's so for me, it has to have no ceramic brakes because the ceramic brakes on that car are ruinously expensive and totally unnecessary for it. So that's good because those were pretty rare. Um, it cannot, I mean, I guess this is a more subjective thing because you can always wrap a car. It cannot be silver. I mega loathe the F-Type in silver. Dark gray, strangely enough, I think looks great on that car. But those things in silver are very plentiful. And most of the low end F-Types are either black or white. None of the cool colors are really low end. The dark blue, the British Racing Green, the reds. You find reds sometimes. But again, it's like once you get past that, they had some weird interior choices with the seats. Most of the interiors are pretty standard. Like they're just black leather interior. But they had these seats that had, I would love just like the plain black leather interior, which is cool. But they had like a red insert. They had a full red interior. They had this like, the quintessential old man spec of like British Racing Green with black and tan seats with the center being the tan insert. Like some of them just look dated. They look weird. They don't fit with the overall aesthetic of the car. Like, and again, I know you can swap these things out. I know you can change these things. But if I'm gonna buy like my dream modern attainable car, I would have hopefully it's as perfect as it can be. Um, but again, these things are all interchangeable. But the really like good stuff that you get with these cars are like the color, the exterior color, um, the Meridian sound system. Uh, they're not optioned on all the cars that are now in the lower price brackets. So it's just going to depend on like are all the boxes ticked.
Gotcha.
So
Um,
we'll see.
yeah, I mean, honestly, well, we don't have much season left for it. We got to get you out and start driving some of this shit.
That's the other thing.
Not the BMW, or the BMW, or the Mercedes.
None of these. Don't drive those.
Honestly, like for a start, the top three and the Corvette.
I would put the Corvette in there because they're all two doors. Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, you're not really going to glean much from the F-150 is a cool project and a cool concept and a cool way to hurt feelings, so to speak. But you're never going to get the feel of what it is or what it will be. Like that's the your top three in the Corvette don't need a build. The Mustang, the F-150 does.
Yeah.
And it's hard to feel that. Now we do have friends who have boosted F-150s, so you can get a sense for that.
Jeff. My name is Jeff.
Specifically. And if you want any testament to how reliable these things are, it's his truck because he beats the ever-living fuck out of that truck.
It sure does.
Perks of knowing exactly how to fix everything.
Deleted first gear and all.
Electronically deleted, in case anyone was wondering.
Yes, electronically deleted, not physically, because how?
Planetary. Like you could, instead of a gear, you can have a sort of toothless sort of just in its place. Because obviously you need you need rotating mass because it messes with other stuff. At any rate, wow, there's already 2 fucking outs. God damn it. It's. I think we need to get you into some of these cars and get you driving some of them, because
that's sort of
we've been talking about this ad nauseum for a while now.
Yep.
And it's time to start walking towards the bathroom so you can eventually shit and get off the pot.
Correct.
Yes. So hopefully we can work something out, because I think it would be cool to kind of, go as a team and obviously create content with it and stuff. But
yeah, I agree.
I've said this multiple times. I am very excited because new cars are cause for excitement.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, we talked about this for a good amount of time. I think that's good.
Wow, it's 10:30. Holy crap.
Yeah, and but I think that's let's see here. Yeah. At any rate, I think that's a good spot to call it for tonight.
Yes,
thank you to everyone watching. Josh and Justin for becoming a new supporter. Justin, thank you for resupporting. Doug, thank you for the stars. Everyone who liked, shared, all that sort of fun stuff. We appreciate you all. We will catch you guys next week for gasp, the 4th week in a row.
I know. Holy crap.
And then hopefully working on getting some guests for the end of the month. As my schedule starts
October, November timeframe.
Gets a little batty. It's time Greg starts pulling some weight here. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Game over. Fuck you, Milwaukee. And anyway, thanks again.